No sports topic is out of bounds. You found the MN Sports Blitz. Along with former Minnesota Vikings linebacker Chad Greenway, here's Joel Niemeyer.
Hey, good day. Welcome again to another MN Scorefeed Blitz. I'm Joel. That is Chad Greenway. And Chad, boy, nice to have you back here. Calendar's going to turn to March, and boy, that's a fun time of year for sports.
Oh my gosh, yeah, March. I mean, you look at the Minnesota Scorefeed app. I mean, we have just so many things going on. It's incredible. Obviously, with hockey, girls state going on right now, you can see the playoff bracket and the state tournament bracket there on the app. The boys sections are up and running and going hard right now, so you can see the playoff bracket and section brackets there. And then, of course, basketball is coming to an end. So the girls' season's sort of in this last week here, and sections start up next week. So just chaos right now on the app, and hard to beat March and April in the sports world. So loving it right now.
And yeah, I know you got a connection to a certain girls basketball team over there, so you're getting ready for next week. And this is, we talked a little bit about it in the fall when those fall tournaments happen, but this is the time of year when you're checking that app. You're looking at, okay, how did our competition do? Who are we going to play? Were we going to do this? Getting that. It's like you said, it's a busy time for your app.
It is, yeah. I mean, you look at the eyes on the app right now as far as numbers go. It's just crazy to see how many people are checking and looking to see how opponents are doing and checking in on games and watching live stream links. It's incredible. And as soon as the QRF, the rankings come out for sections in the hoop side, we'll have section brackets and everything built up right there in the app. So if you want to go on there and look at who the next round, who you're going to be playing or whatever that might be, it's all right there in the app. You can check scores live. If your game's over and you want to check the end of another game, they maybe went to overtime or something. It's all right there in the app. I can't say enough about the folks behind that are spinning the wheels of this app right now. They've been working overtime. As you know, we have a group that's in South Dakota with the SD Scores app as well, and they're kind of in the same mode, of course, with hoops. So you can imagine the workload right now is pretty significant. So it's a pretty awesome time of year. And I like you said, of course, my daughter plays for Providence Academy, and we've been following it very, very closely and had a game last night, kind of our last regular season game, and we're looking forward to hopefully a fun playoff run.
Well, and one thing I like about the app, which I used earlier this week when Hutch Boys Hockey was playing in the section tournament, game previews. You can go and you can look, and there's different stats and schedules and this and that, and it's kind of a fun little feature.
It is, yeah, it is. It's funny how you can go on there and you tweak and kind of look at matchups and see who the other team has played and just look at common opponents and scores and kind of get yourself mentally prepared for what's coming. And I know a lot of parents out there get pretty nervous and uptight leading up to a game, myself included. So, it's fun to be able to go kind of look at that stuff and just have it all in one place. I think that's the best part that we've heard in all the feedback is having so much information on a very easy to use app. It's user friendly and super clean. So that's been a good sign.
Well, let's talk some sports. We got a few different topics that I'm going to bring up here today. And this weekend was supposed to be the first Twins game. They had an exhibition game scheduled with the Gophers, which isn't going to happen now because of the MLB labor discussions. And I kind of teased this last time we chatted. I don't know if you've ever been through labor stoppages, lockouts, all that stuff when you were with the Vikings. But what do you think the players are going through right now when they're supposed to be playing, but they can't be?
Yeah, it's hard. So we went through sort of a lockout or a work stoppage where they're kind of going through the collective bargaining agreement there in 2011, I want to say. And that was kind of the hard part for I guess for me was I was in that contract year. It was a year where I was, had a lot of unknowns and a lot of question marks about where I was going to be and if I was going to be with the Vikings. And the nice part about that is I did get signed to a franchise tag deal right before that lockout happened. So I knew I was at least going to be someplace. I knew I'd be in Minnesota, and I knew I'd be somewhat protected at least for a year. And that was nice knowing that. But then, of course, when you go into the off season and we were working on Lifetime Fitness, and we're getting groups together and go play some extra hoops for conditioning and just trying to stay on top of your body. And then you come back and in training camp basically is the next time we saw everybody. So we didn't really have much of an off season at all. Went to training camp as the deal got done kind of right before that happened, and it was kind of business as usual. But it was very significant in our sort of your workload and how you handled it.
In these kinds of issues, is it usually both sides? For games to start getting going again, is it both sides are going to have to come to the middle, and nobody's gonna get everything they want on their side?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you have to do is who's going to kind of buckle first, right? And if the players can hold out and if they kind of have some things in place where they can kind of make it through the first couple of months of the season, you just wonder how long these owners are going to stick their foot in the ground. You know, that works both ways though, right? Because the players have to be prepared financially to not receive checks and to not have a normal off season, and how much pressure is there coming from other people, right? To get this season going. There's a lot of money exchanging hands. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't see. But very, very curious to see how this plays out.
Now, granted, I know your football, your sport is different than baseball. So preparation time and all that might be a little different. But if they said, how much preparation time would you need to get ready for the season? Like if mid-March comes and hey, we got ourselves a deal. How much prep time do you think they would need?
Yeah, I think a 3 weeks. I think 3 to 4 weeks is probably the minimum. I would say. I mean, you start talking 2 weeks and 1 week, and that's high school preparation. That's just not enough time. I guess the difference is these guys, they do such a good job in the off season of keeping their bodies ready to play. That's more about shifting the mentality. So on the baseball side, maybe you could shrink that to 2 to 3 weeks, but man, I'd be hard pressed for me to believe that would happen. So you're going to need in my opinion, you're going to need 3 weeks. That's probably the minimum.
Let's shift over to a team who's playing right now and playing well. That's the Minnesota Timberwolves. We haven't talked a whole lot about them here. Yeah, they just had their All-Star break. They were playing very well into the All-Star break, and that's become a team to watch here in Minnesota.
Yeah, it has, and how fun. I mean, Minnesota fans haven't had a good basketball team to cheer for on the men's side here in a while. So super excited the Wolves are playing well. I love how hard they're playing. I think when you look at with what Finch has done, with the personnel they've brought in, with Beverly kind of creating a tone and an edge for that team. It tells you a lot about just what effort can do. And not that they didn't give effort before, but it's a different kind of mentality, a different kind of effort I feel like they're given this year than they have in the past. And I think Beverly is a big part of that. And I'm glad to see they'll be back and kind of re-signed here recently. And I think he's an important piece here. And I think that mentality with the talent we obviously have with young ability with Cat and others, just really exciting.
It is people forget, including me sometimes. Beverly, to me, and that Prince, Torian Prince might be more of a veteran, but those are really the only two quote unquote veterans. Yeah, Cat's been around for a few years, but you don't think of him as a veteran. This is still a young team that can grow.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing they don't have is the experience going down the stretch, right? So I think that's going to be something that's going to be interesting to see as things ratchet up here and things get tight. Are they able to kind of keep their foot on the gas pedal and keep going? This first 5 games post break will be very interesting to see how he reacts. If we can come back out and continue to play that we did before the break, will be so important to keep that kind of stride going. And then when you get in these games, I mean, the thing about it is when you have some of these players that we have that can go get a bucket. Right, when you have Ant, when you have Cat, you have these guys. D'Lo can certainly create his own shot. I mean, you have these guys that can go get a bucket at the end of a game, and we have several of them. That's where you kind of talk about the big three in these other environments. Is we have a young version of that with a really good supporting cast, and man, it'd be fun to go in there and just it'd be fun to avoid the play-in game. It'd be fun to go get one of those top, I think, was it 5 seeds. And go get a playoff actual round to play, and I think that'd be it'd be fun. It'd be great for our city. I know that, and our state.
And that I was going to mention, because I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, but my kids both my daughters weren't alive the last time the Timberwolves made the playoffs, so it's been a long time here. So we have to be happy for just them making the playoffs, but you almost want to see them try and make a run. And can they make a run in these playoffs?
Oh, I think so. I absolutely think they can. I think that I think with the young talent they have, and I think what's interesting is Anthony's approach mentally, I think, is really good for our team. I think with Edwards and what he can create and his physicality and his confidence and his swagger, I think is also important for this team. I think D'Lo's presence is very good because he's got that calm demeanor. He obviously hits big shots and he's a great player. And then Kat's kind of got the emotional piece going. And I never agreed with Kat with how much he was sort of complaining to the refs until recently, when I realized how much he gets beat up and doesn't get the same calls as a lot of other guys across this league. So I, kind of been watching the game a little closer and kind of watching how he reacts and interacts with the refs or fans or teammates. And initially I would always get frustrated, but I think recently you start to see that, man, the way these guys get called, if it's Jokic or these other guys, these bigs, they don't protect Cat like they do these other guys. So you kind of start to feel for him, and that kind of builds that mentality of, hey, this is our guy. This is our guy. He's stayed here. He's played hard. He's been a good person. Let's go get a dub for him.
Got to wrap up with a little bit of football talk as new Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell I think 99% filled his staff out. Wes Phillips, offensive coordinator, Ed Donatel, defensive coordinator. Overall, do you like the staff? Do you like the hires that the Vikings brought in?
Yeah, for the guys I know, I think that bringing Donatel in as an experienced guy who's been around the block, I think it's a good thing for a young head coach. Obviously, it's been well documented he's going to call the plays, so the offensive coordinator is going to be kind of one of those guys that's going to be very supportive, especially in film and game prep and game planning. So O'Connell can be the head coach, and then obviously support on game day as much as possible. I think bringing in an assistant or associate head coach was really smart. Let's give this guy the best opportunity to go, to kind of have a right-hand man that can fill a role with Fenton, that can kind of help him on game day through some stuff, help him in his lack of experience. And, so far so good as far as I'm concerned. A lot of the guys I don't know, and I'm very curious to see how this team gets built and what changes will be made.
Well, speaking of being built, the next move, draft, and also some veteran moves, cuts usually. We'll talk about we'll focus on the draft closer to it. But as far as the veteran moves and cuts, do you expect anything? Do you expect anything big happening there with the Vikings?
Well, I think right now anything's on the table. I think anything you hear or any speak right now is sort of just going to be a guessing game, because they have to get there and kind of pull. Open the hood up under the car and see what we got going on here for an engine. How does this team build? How do they want to see it go moving forward? And, with Kwesi and O'Connell not having much of a background together is make sure we're on the same page with what we want to build and how we want to contend and the type of team we want to have. I think it's so important to kind of build that foundation. And this first year, these first moves are going to kind of be the start of our foundation. I think that's what's exciting for me to see is what direction we're going to go. Because that's, going to tell a lot. It's going to tell a lot of story about that, who we're going to be in the next, 3 to 5, hopefully long term.
Sounds good. We'll chat again next time, Chad.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me. Again, go to MN Scorefeed, go download the free app and follow along with all of our high school sports. It's going to be a fun spring heading into baseball and track season. So looking forward to it.
He's Chad Greenway. I'm Joel Niemeyer, and this is the MN Scorefeed Blitz.
The MN Sports Blitz has been produced by KDUZ, KARP, KGLB, and the Ingstad, Minnesota Radio Network. Complete episodes are available on our website and on YouTube.